Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today I'm going to talk to you about creating modules, packages, and OOP, basics of object-oriented programming. So um, to define a class here, in the previous tutorials, I've showed you how to create subroutines using the def keyword. For example, add or stuff like that. If you don't understand Python subroutines or Python functions, just go ahead and follow along the video series I recommended in the second video. So in order to define a class, we have to provide the keyword class followed by the name of the class. To define a method, we are going to use the constructor here using the def keyword, and the constructor under Python is a unique constructor. Actually, it is used to instantiate the class objects, and so those objects actually can actually be used in the whole class. Let me illustrate this stuff. The class accepts some parameters. The first one, or the required one, is the self keyword. The self keyword represents the function itself. So in order to call any instantiated object, you have to provide the self dot the name of the object in this whole class. Okay, so for example, if we have def1 and for example def1 and def2, in order to be able to from 2 to call 1, we have to provide here the self keyword. Okay, the self keyword, and even if you don't create the constructor, Python will create it for you. Okay, and for example here we can provide the IP, and we are going to instantiate it using the self.ip is equal to IP, and I am going to print, or let's go ahead and I am going to create the class instance or object here is equal to IPChecker, and I am going to give it any kind of IP, and I can actually go ahead and call the object.ip. Okay, the object itself. So if we go ahead and do Python video 5, as you can see here, if we print it out, of course, you will see that the IP address is as the given one. You can actually go ahead and make changes to the object on the fly. So for example 1.1.1.1 and print it out. Okay, obj.ip. Okay, excellent. So you can actually go ahead and print it out, the first object and then the second object. So that's how OOPs, or how the basics methods or object-oriented programming under Python. So let me go ahead and proceed our work. So I am going to define is valid IP. Okay, is valid, and if you remember, I've explained in details the given IP, this little function. So let's go ahead and define it here. And if you remember, I told you that there was a mistake. The mistake was in here. Okay, this number must be 5 because I made a mistake. I've told you that \d, I misspelled the \d meaning here, or the \d stands for all digits, digits, but only one digit. For example, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. For example, if it's found something like 15, it would take only 1 because it's \d. For \d plus, it would take any kind of digits up to it reaches another data type rather than digits. So here actually must be 255. So 2 must be here too, and it could be um, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and this number, it could be from 0 to 5, so which means from 200 to 255. So the same thing here, the value should be 5. The same thing here, the value should be 5. I don't know if you have solved I haven't received any commands yet, so let me copy it out and let's return true, else return false. Okay, so now I am going to call to pass the IP address. I am going to pass the IP address here as argv1, and from the sys module I am going to import argv, and from array I am going to import findAll. Okay, so now if we print out the dir against obj here, we are going to notice that we are going to notice that oh my god, if we python 1.1.1.1 takes exactly to 1 given. Okay, what's the problem here? Okay, we must pass here the IP as parameter. So as you can see here, now we have the IP object as well as is valid. So we can go ahead and you know, print out obj dot is valid, and execute it. And as you can see here, this is a valid IP address. For example, if we provide an invalid IP address, it returns false. Excellent. So what about make this little tour as a package or as a module? As a module, it's already written, so I'm going to tell it from video 05 import the class IPChecker. Okay. Okay, let me first get rid of this stuff. That's Python, and I am going to tell it from video 5 import IPChecker. So here must be the class. From the file import this class, and if we dot against IPChecker, as you can see here, we have is valid, and now we can create the object, or we can actually do IPChecker accept one parameter, for example 12.0.1. you can actually directly call is valid. Global name is not defined. Okay, A is valid. Okay, global name is not defined, so let's video 5. Okay, so as you can see here, my friends, the problem here is this one. We must call the object using the self keyword, as I told you before, because we are in a different function, and we've got the instantiated object here. This must be called as follows: serve.ip. Okay, so let's close the file. Let's Python, and just to do not waste time here, I am going to import it as IPCheck, and the object is equal to, or let's directly IPCheck dot is IPCheck 1.2.3.4 dot is valid, and as you can see here, it returns true. That's how to create a module. Okay. To return it, to make it a packet, we are going to create IPChecker file here, and we are going to navigate or to cp the IPChecker, or we are going to cp video to IPChecker. We are going to create something called the constructor, that's the package, init.py, and here we are going to, from IPChecker, I am going to import you know I am going to import video 5, or I'm sorry, from video 5 I am going to import, or let's make stuff easier, from IPChecker import IPChecker. Okay, I am going to IPChecker, and let's move video to IPChecker.py. Now if we move out IPChecker .py to IPChecker, and here we have the IPChecker tool that we just written. If we go ahead and cp the constructor here, so now we have the constructor and the IPChecker tool. If we go one directory down, actually here we can play with video 5, for example, or pack.py, and here we can go ahead user bin inf python, and from the directory IPChecker I am going to import IPChecker, and let's print out IPChecker, give it the IP address dot is valid, and if we go ahead and execute the pack.py, as you can see here, indeed we've been able to return the stuff. Okay, so let's get rid of it, of this video 0. So now we have the pack that would actually call from the IPChecker directory. It would call the IPChecker, because the IPChecker here contains the constructor, and the constructor actually would go ahead and import from the IPChecker. It would import the IPChecker class. Okay, so that's how to create packages, and that's the basis of behind OOP under Python. Next, I am going to start up bidnillah why Python is widely used as the info stack, and we're going to be talking about some of the features of Python. Thank you.